Good evening. We're gonna do a lot of PPP EIDL updates. Take note of the date of this video because remember that what you hear today may not be what's going on tomorrow. This stuff is changing daily. This stuff is changing rapidly, and a lot of it is changing in favor of business owners, sole proprietors. So, again, I want to stress to you that what you hear today may change tomorrow. So, you got to make sure that you keep watching. Make sure that you drop a money sign if you've made any money off of any of these videos, or if you got money because of my videos. Drop a money bag or money sign in the comments and let people know that this is real, that people that they know that are real people, not doing fraud, but legitimately are small business owners, sole proprietors, and this money is available to you to make you to help you survive the pandemic. So as people are getting on, I am going to show you my little commercial in the meantime, so that it's building the audience so that we can get started on a lot of questions that I've been getting today. And let's get going with this so that we can answer your questions, get you more information, hopefully get some more people qualified for PPP that don't realize that they have access to PPP funds and they can legitimately get these funds. Hey, so we're going to go ahead and get started. If you have any live questions that you want to drop in the comments, then feel free to do so at your convenience. I also got a lot of questions in my inbox from different people in reference to PPP. So I'm going to start with PPP and then we're going to move over to EIDL. Both of these topics are very, very strong topics that we need to talk about. If I can't say it more than once, good evening. I want to tell you, you do not have to have an LLC. You do not need a tax ID number, also known as an EIN number. A lot of people are getting disqualified or not approved, denied. The government is not stupid. They know when you submitted your application for that EIN number. They know when you submitted your application for that LLC. They connect with the Secretary of State and they can find out when it was created. So you're not outsmarting the government or outsmarting the bank by creating these. You can use your social security number. Quit listening to people who know nothing about nothing. A lot of people, if you get a 1099, if you drive for Uber, if you are a stripper, if you're a real estate agent, anybody that issues you a 1099, that gets a 1099, then you are an independent contractor. Even if you do work, if you say you have a mobile car wash, nobody's giving you a 1099 for that. Guess what? You still can get PPP if you reported those wages. A lot of people have side gigs and they're saying, well, can I bake cakes and I make t-shirts? Yes, if you reported it on your tax return. You cannot get money if you did not report on your tax return, because the government needs a documented way to know if we're going to give you 2.5 months of income if you are in general business. But if you're in the food industry or hospitality, they're giving you 3.5 months. Well, they cannot replace income that they are not aware that you had. So you've got to have it documented on your tax return. They are growing off your gross and not your net. And your gross is before taxes. That's before you took your deductions. That's the amount of money that you said that you brought in, even if it's under your personal Social Security number. It's the amount that you said you brought in before you started doing deductions. So they changed the formula in March. So what you heard last summer, last fall, if you heard it even as recent as February, that has all changed. You got to stay up to date, and you cannot just think you're a know-it-all. I'm telling you, every day this stuff is changing. I can say I got PPP, but I got it off of the old formula. Therefore, that formula gave you less money because it was on your net and not your gross. So some people are wondering, well, how is this person getting $20,833 and I only got $5,000? Well, it depends on when you got your PPP. If you got it, and if you were in process doing that transition phase from the old formula to the new formula, then you are going to see a total difference in your amount. So with that being said, if you see the total difference amount, then if you apply now for your second round, and remember, you can do round 1 and round 2, and you can do a PPP for every business. Some people got a bunch of side hustle. They might drive trucks during the day, make t-shirts on the weekend. Guess what? If you filed a Schedule C on your t-shirt business and you filed a Schedule C on your trucking business, then that means that you can apply for 2 PPPs. You do not have to pick one because that makes your overall income. But now if you do your truck business on your taxes, but you don't do your t-shirt business on your taxes, guess what? You won't be able to qualify because they cannot document how much they're actually replacing on your behalf. That's why they need the tax return in order to see what they're replacing for that 2.5 months. That's why you got to get out of business and get into business. Start getting your paperwork right. Stop listening to people that don't know. You do not, depending on how much you make, it may be better for you just to stay under your Social Security number and form a DBA. And I mean, it just depends on your tax situation. So you want to talk to, I'm not a tax professional. I don't do taxes. I have no interest in doing taxes. But after PPP, I've kind of been contemplating about doing business taxes, not personal taxes, because I'm seeing a lot of people really getting messed up because you need to go to somebody that understands and knows business taxes. So you can, if you only making 10,000, you may not have a need to form a LLC. You may not have a need for an EIN number. I can be Erica Simpson, DBA, Sweetie Smoothies. Guess what? I can do that all under my Social Security number. Nothing requires me to have an LLC. I cannot stress enough that there are more business types than an LLC. So with that being said, if you got a 1099, if you have where you get Cash App money and you file a Schedule C off of your Cash App money, guess what? you can file for PPP. If you're a hairstylist in a shop, but you don't own the shop, guess what? You're a booth renter. Guess what? You can file for PPP because nobody's giving you a check stub unless you at like a franchise or something where they're giving you a W-2. But most booth renters, hairstylists, when they file their taxes, they're going to file under a Schedule C. That qualifies you for PPP. So don't listen to these people that don't know. Actually, when you go back, and I can't replace it to my wallet was, I got a question here. My wallet was stolen and I can't replace it to May 31st. How can I apply? You just need your ID. So if you can get a copy of your ID, set an appointment. A DMV takes appointments to get an ID, or a lot of these banks for PPP will even take your passport. So because your passport can be scanned, so you don't have to use a driver's license when applying. They will, because a passport is a form of identification. You can use that as well. Now, I wanted to tell you, so if you got money under the old formula and you got a total a lot less than people are getting right now, then what you need to do is join us with house.gov and senate.gov to tell them that we need the rest of our money because we went under the old formula and we need the rest of our money under the new formula. So contact your senators, go by their office, anything. If you got money based on the old formula and not the new formula, especially if it's going to give you more money. And then you said, that's all I had, no passport. Then I would see about getting a license either through DMV. It depends on if it's not expired. Some of them are allowing you to have a new driver's license. I know South Carolina DMV online will mail you a new driver's license as long as you're not trying to change information and it's still valid. You should be able to get one mailed to you. So you might want to go on the DMV online website in order to do that. Also, keep sharing this video. You don't know who it might help. Yes, PPP, once you exhaust the funds, then you are going to apply for your forgiveness. You're not going to apply for your forgiveness before you exhaust the funds. A lot of people also are getting it confused where they're saying you have to use it in your business. At least 60% must be used through payroll. So guess what? If you're a sole proprietor, you're using your social security number, guess what? At least 60% of that money has to be cut back to you. So that's your paycheck. And once you cut your money back to you for your payroll to be in compliance with what they're telling you, you can use that check just like you would for payroll to do what you want to do because it's your paycheck. Once you cut the check back to yourself, it's your money. So if you want to use your paycheck and go blow it, guess what? It's your paycheck to do that. So a lot of people, if they not understanding the process, not understanding what people doing, how they're doing it, don't judge. Because like I said, there's a lot of people out here that don't know nothing about nothing. A lot of people are telling people they're going to get audited. You going to jail. Well, guess what? If you've already turned those tax returns into the government, you have a chance to be audited every year that you turn in your tax returns. So you should be already turning in tax returns that are accurate. So what you're given for PPP is the same thing that you turned into the government, maybe for 2019 or 2020. Guess what? Unless you're not doing fraud or taking a risk of getting audited, unless you're doing stuff that is not right. So if those are the same tax returns that you had when you turned it into the IRS, those are the same tax returns that can get you audited. So either you want to get audited with money in your pocket, or do you want to still be broke as hell and get audited? Which one do you want to do? Pick your heart, pick your broke as to what you want to do. So don't let people tell you, oh, you're going to get audited by that. You can get audited just before filing your taxes and they decide that your number gets pulled. So you can get audited for any reason. I got another question. What if I haven't filed one of my business since 2018? Then guess what? It depends on if you're a sole proprietor or if you are a business, because it depends on if you got a corporation, because then you might get a non-filing penalty if you're a corporation. But if you are a sole proprietor and you haven't filed it, then guess what? I wouldn't. Now, it depends on how much it is that you're filing for, but this, if you file an amendment, then that could cause you to get audit, and you could, the government's gonna be like, well, why didn't you tell us that you had this money before? So if you haven't filed your business since 2018, I would suggest you get caught up on your taxes, so then that way you don't get jammed up with past due taxes, and you get an audit, and then you got to deal with other stuff. So get it filed as soon as possible, because you want to be in compliance with the government. You want to do the right thing, whether it's PPP or not. That's why a lot of people need to get their business in order, get out of business and get into business. So then that way, when opportunities like these present themselves, you can take full-fledged advantage of it, so that you're not worried about, oh, well, it's either pay me now or pay me later. Don't try to avoid the government. And then when something like this happens, then you realize that you should have filed it on your taxes. So be in compliance, do what you're supposed to. And if you owe Uncle Sam a little bit of money, pay him. Because guess what? You don't know what's going to come up, and you could actually be hurting yourself more than helping yourself when you are in business and not in business. So there's a lot of things that can keep you, because people want to know, how did Trump make all that money and he didn't pay any taxes? Because he had a good accountant. He is applying all his tax incentives to his taxes. So just because you have a business, and then some people running a negative, you can't run a negative on a business for 10 years, because the government is not stupid. They're going to say, well, why, if you're not making any money, why are you still in business? So don't red flag yourself trying to avoid paying taxes. Like I said, it's either pay me now or pay me later. Become knowledgeable. Just like I tell people today, gossip don't pay you nothing. They done went and found that list to blast everybody on social media. Oh, they went and got that PPP loan. Those people legitimately got that money. Now, if you mad because they got some money, why don't you take that same effort and go figure out what you need to do in case they might be doing a round 3 of PPP? What do I need to do to get myself together in order so that I can take advantage of stuff when things happen? What am I going to do to put myself in a better position, rather than sit around and just talk about people that took advantage of something that they knew how to do because you was too busy telling everybody they need an LLC, they need an EIN number to apply. So what you want to do is take that and build upon it. Guess what? Because most of them people that was spreading that I saw, and I ain't judging nobody, but they was broke as hell. So why you spending your effort on that? That don't make sense to me. But anyway, you got to do what you got to do. What's the estimated turnaround time for being approved for PPP from the time you apply? It's generally about 10 days that we're seeing, because now when that March 31st date came in, people that we start seeing like slow down, where people was having to wait longer to get their money. So that may be causing some of it because of the extension. Also, a lot of people are applying for their round 2. So they're just getting inundated with requests for this PPP money. Also, there are what I call them the late bloomers, the people that just realized that they even qualify for PPP, and they are flooding them. And a lot of these portals banks are shutting down because they have enough applications in their queue to process. So a lot of places aren't even taking applications anymore. So the turnaround time is just varying. Also, that goes into the time frame of when people can apply for their first round and then their second round. Some places are making you wait the 8 weeks before you can apply for your round 2. But some places are going ahead, if they are able to accept your SBA number from round 1, they're okay. They can process your round 2, or they may be holding your application and then already got you in queue to go ahead and issue those funds. So we've been seeing it different ways as to, if people, when you're talking about turnaround time, if it's your round 1 or your round 2. Also, it varies from lender to lender as to what your turnaround times are. A lot of these lenders are getting a lot stricter, because what they're doing now is, some of them, because there is PPP fraud. I'm not going to deny that there's people out here doing PPP fraud. Well, I saw that that preacher from Maryland, he got $3.8 million in PPP fraud money. But there are people legitimately out here getting the money. And so that's to say that you may not have to wait the 8 weeks, depending on your lender. So don't take that as a rule of thumb. Now, but when you do the forgiveness, they are asking that you have exhausted the funds, because your one-page certification, if you are under $150,000, it doesn't ask you for documentation for the forgiveness, but you are signing an affidavit saying that you did do the right thing with the money. And like I said, a minimum of 60% must go back to payroll. And if you're a sole proprietor, that means that at least 60% needs to be your money. So, I mean, that's not hard to do. And you sign off on the one-page certification. A lot of these banks are sending them back to people electronically. You just don't want to sign off on that affidavit, that certification, before you've spent the money. You have, it's 10 months before your first payment is due. If you decide for whatever reason that you're not going to do the forgiveness part, you don't have a payment due for 10 months. And even if you forget to do your forgiveness after the 10th month, you still can apply for the forgiveness at any time. So you don't have to actually be in this rush to actually do the forgiveness certification of it. Just do it once you've exhausted the funds. And I just recommend that you do it before your first payment is due, so that way you don't have to make a first payment as long as you got your certification done for your forgiveness. It's a pretty easy process. And I know a lot of people that has already been forgiven. They've got notification from their lender, because you go back through your lender who gave you the initial PPP loan. That's who you do your forgiveness with, and they'll notify you and let you know, okay, yes, the SBA has documented and they've accepted your forgiveness. And so that's the part that makes it free money. And remember that you can do 2 rounds of it, but don't try to use EIN numbers that you just created, because like I said, they know when those EIN numbers were created. They know when that LLC was created. So it's sometimes better if you've been doing this. And I know like some hairstylists, somebody told them they need an LLC. You don't need an LLC. If you've been filing your taxes under your Social Security number, your profit and loss, use that. Use your Social Security number. Don't try to go out here and get an EIN number, because they're going to know it was created after the date, which is going to disqualify you, versus if you went ahead and just use your Social Security as you've been filing all these years, your tax returns. So you don't need the EIN number. You don't need the LLC to be quote unquote legit, because you're a sole proprietor. Then how long after you receive PPP do you have to start spending it? You can hold it as long as you like. Now that brings the question up as to you have up to 24 weeks to spend it, which is 6 months. But that goes into if you're getting unemployment. you can't double dip on the same time frame as you're getting unemployment. If you get unemployment from now to June, then guess what? You may want to start using your PPP. If you're going to remember, at least 60% must go to yourself. Now, 40% you can put towards approved business expenses. So if you have some business expenses that you need to use your PPP on now while you're getting unemployment, then you can, but you can't use the paycheck part, which is the part that comes back to you during the same time that you get unemployment, because you can't double dip on the same time frame. And that's just as if you were getting ERTC credits, that's employee retention tax credits. You can't double dip on the same time period, but you can use them consecutively. And that's when you finish unemployment, okay, now I'm gonna start with my PPP money. Then after my PPP money, I'm gonna start with my ERTC money. So that's how you coordinate that and work that out. I'm gonna go ahead and leave PPP, and I'm gonna go over to EIDL now. There is a major bombshell with EIDL. EIDL has gone, last year the cap was 150, and that's why I say document the date of this video, April the 19th, because this could change. So last year the cap for a business was $150,000. Well, let me take that back. When the pandemic first hit, like April, when they told us that they was going to give every business was going to get $10,000, and it was going to be up to $2 million on EIDL. Well, then Joanza, that was over the SBA at that time, she came in and she says, no, we're not going to give you $10,000. We only going to give you $1,000 per employee. So a lot of people got $1,000 because they are a sole proprietor. They didn't have any employees. So they only got the $1,000. It's not a separate application. Let's be clear about that. When you went onto the SBA website, you did your application for the $10,000 at the same time that you did it for the loan, because at that time they was using the $10,000 was supposed to be emergency funding for you to get over the hump until they could review your loan application. Well, it didn't work out that way. So what they did was they gave $1,000 per employee. So a lot of people only got $1,000. Well, and they had the cap at $2 million. Well, she lowered the cap to $150,000 and 6 months of working capital. Well, now, that's why I keep telling you, go to house.gov, go to senate.gov, bug these people, because with more and more people kicking and screaming, they came back 2 weeks ago. They said $500,000 on EIDL, and we're going to work on you. And that's why everybody's getting these emails about this targeted grant, so they can give you the rest of your $10,000. Because people was kicking and screaming and going to their House of Representatives, their senators, and telling them the pandemic is not our fault. We need this money. So with that being said, now they didn't just open it up to low income, which they were doing like a month ago. Now it's open up to everybody, as long as you do the 30% and give them the amounts that you put in there. Well, last week they came back and said, if y'all going to give 24 months of working capital, then I can't survive off of $500,000 for working capital for my business for the next 24 months. So what we need you to do is to go to the original amount of $2 million that you told us that y'all would do when the pandemic first hit. Y'all told us this. Y'all need to, keep your word. Guess what? Last week, they said, we're going to go, the cap now is $2 million. So that means that you could possibly get 4 times the amount that you got off your original loan. Now, this is not the kicker. Listen, share this video. This is the part that you want to listen to. Now, after the 24 months, up to $2 million with the working capital. Now people are kicking and screaming and saying, we want this to be like PPP and it needs to be forgiven. Guess what? We don't know. It's no guarantee, no promises. But if enough people kick and scream, they change the formula and now they're going off your gross instead of your net. They change where they giving you $10,000 to apply for the rest of your grant money because people been kicking and screaming. They raised the cap from 150 to 500 now to back to 2 million because people are kicking and screaming. So if enough people kick and scream, then I don't have a crystal ball, but what if they make EIDL forgivable and you as one of those people, I don't want to be in debt. I don't want another loan. Well, guess what? You don't have a loan payment due if you took it last year for 24 months. If you take it this year, you won't have one due for 18 months. And the rumor is that they keep prolonging your first payment because remember, if you got it last year, you've been getting those invoices in the mail telling you how you're going to have to pay, and starting in May, starting in June, starting in July, a year from when you got that loan. Well, now you're going to know that you don't have to pay again to 2022 because they're trying to iron out the details of this. So if enough people, thank you, Nadra, then she's on board with me to say that they will change. And if we kick and scream enough, guess what? They are going to probably change it and forgive it. Well, guess what? If you don't take the money, what do you have to get forgiven? Nobody is going to be able to forgive you for something that they never gave you. So guess what? I say take the money. Take all of it. They give you a range, take it all. Even if you set it over to the side, then guess what? And they forgive it. You just could have came into $100,000 of free money. But guess what? You over there listening to people who know nothing about nothing. So consider your source when you talk to people. There's no prepayment penalty. So guess what? If they decide in 24 months and if you just want to give it back because you don't want to pay for it, you don't want to be in debt. Because remember, some debt creates leverage. This debt with the SBA for a 3.75 interest rate, that's going to create leverage because guess what? You are to use that for your payroll, for your overhead, for loans. You just can't pay your loans in advance for your business. But guess what? If you kill all your overhead for the next 24 months and all your profits that's coming in, that's a game changer, a big game changer. And not to mention, they'll give you a 30-year loan. They taking out credit reporting because guess what? I forgot about that part. People was kicking and screaming because Experian lowered their credit score from a 700 down to a 625 because they took 75 points off of their credit report. So guess what? People are kicking and screaming. And guess what? Now they're going to take out the credit out of this equation. So why wouldn't you do it? Leverage, debt, leverage. Don't keep confusing debt with the struggle. Like that's broke people mentality. We need to come out of that broke mindset and get into how am I going to create leverage? Banks borrow your money every day, but you too good to borrow money, but banks borrow your money to sit in your account every day to loan to other people. So create leverage for yourself. If not, then hey, just be left behind. And guess what? Be one of them people sharing on Facebook how these people got money and you didn't get none because guess what? You would rather talk about gossip than to get paid. Okay? So I'm just telling you what I'm going to do. They give me this money. I'm taking this money. And guess what? I'm going to keep my accounting, my books correct. Remember, don't be in business, be in business. And if they forgive it, oh man, when people say we're going to be rich, This is your time to level up. Everybody's looking for a come up. The government trying to give you one. They got to slap you, knock you in the head. What? But you want to be sitting out here talking to stupid people. So it's whatever you want to do. Pick your heart. Are you gonna be broke and then you can give it back? It's 30 years. One person told me their loan payment is $40. Who can't afford $40? And if you decide to give the money back, you can do that. There ain't no prepayments penalty. That's right, period. So what I'm telling you is to say that I had a question back here, and I think I kind of missed over it when I was like on my rant page. So I'm going back to this comment. So the targeted email was for the rest of the grant only, not the increase of the loan. No, the targeted email was for the grant only. Now, remember, because that's why you need to be watching my videos every time I come on here, because I don't come on here to talk about stupid stuff. I'm talking about how to get some money. So the week before that, around April the 6th, you can go back, or you can go back to my YouTube channel. There was an increase email that I gave to you where you do the increase, but then you also have to have in the subject line request for increase. That's a separate email. And you do your increase with your application number. That's another thing. For the new people that's applying for EIDL, make sure that if you just key in numbers, which you should not, that's an absolute no-no. You should be using your tax return when you're filling this EIDL stuff out. You need to make sure that you save a screenshot of what you're keying in. So then that way you have it for future use. Also, save your application number. If you get the loan, save your loan number, your monthly statements that come in the mail. They have your loan number on it. So that email was an increase email. Do not send multiple emails because we don't need y'all messing us up, waiting on our money because they got to answer 50 emails from you because you keep bugging the shit out of these people. Only do it one time and wait your turn. Don't keep bugging them. They've got a customer service email. If you got questions, don't send questions to the increase email. But I'll, Quita, what I'll do is I'll go back and drop that, what you got to put, and follow the directions. This is, make sure that's key. Follow the directions. Don't do what you want to do. Do what these people telling you to do. That's how you're going to get the money. Do what these people telling you to do. Don't do what somebody that don't know what they talking about. Well, do this, do that. Follow their instructions. They say, put your business name, put your loan number, put your application number, put your name, put your address, put your phone number. Do that. Don't go and deviate from the plan and start putting your tax returns and doing all this crazy stuff, because guess what? They're going to hit delete or ignore because you ain't following directions. And they're making this process as easy as possible. They just want to know that you're still alive. You still want the money. They said as long as they don't feel like it's no fraud involved, they may just ask you for your driver's license and keep it moving. Also, they're doing it different ways. So you need to make sure that you log it into your online portal so that you can see if the offer is there and kind of monitor that. But you should have sent 2 emails over the last 2 weeks. Friday night, I think I jumped on here because that was the targeted one. Like I said, those people's kicking and screaming. So that's why they opened it up to everybody. And then around April the 6th, we did a video on the increase. So the people that were in reconsideration mode, and they was just they was filing a reconsideration for an increase. They're telling you just send that email for the increase. Now the people that was actually denied, say because they was not credit worthy, read your denial letter, because I done seen where some people didn't finish their application. They put cost of goods and they didn't have cost of goods. They filled it out wrong. So those people that were totally denied, you need a reconsideration. The people that need more money because you did get approved last year, you need an increase. So you need to do the increase email if you want more money for the 24 months of working capital up to $2 million. But for the people that was just totally denied, I would go in and do the reconsideration. And people are asking, how do you do a reconsideration? Read the letter. At the bottom of your denial letter is step by step what you need to do the reconsideration. At the top of your letter in bold font is the reason that they denied you. So what you need to do is look at that letter, take what they said in bold print, justify it, clear it up. And if you need to send documentation with that, do that. And then follow the steps at the bottom of the letter where it gives you an email address as well as a fax number to do that. So you want to make sure that you do that. And like I said, I'm going to drop it back down here for people. So that way, I've got another question. I got the email the end of March and submitted. I have yet to get an email for the portal. Should I reach out to a certain department? Really, by it being the end of March, it's really not a long time for you to be waiting, just because, like I said, they're so backed up. So I would probably wait at least 8 weeks. But like I said, you want to, as these things keep changing and they keep doing things differently, stay abreast of what's going on. And you got to just about stay abreast of what's going on a daily basis. And like I said, I do a lot of research on this like every day so that I can come on here and do videos so that I can keep people informed and know what's going on. And I do appreciate the people tagging people in this video, sharing this video, because like I said, you know, that you can do that. Where do you go file for PPP at? You can go to bossedupacademystimulus.com, or you can do PPP-stimulus.com. If you want a free quote on and you don't know how to do the formula to know if it's worth your time doing, if you inbox me your full tax return or your Schedule C. That's another thing that I'm seeing too, that some people are getting paid on a 1099. I saw like some traveling nurses, but their tax preparer, for whatever reason, only filed their 1099 income on the 1040 and they didn't actually file them under Schedule C. Then you may have to use your 1040 instead of your Schedule C, and it's your 1040 should have your tax return should have a document in it referencing your 1099 that they may have filed on the first page of your tax return. So not all tax preparers are doing things the same. So, and don't feel like, oh, I don't have a Schedule C, so I don't qualify. If you got a 1099, like I said, some tax preparers, because they're not doing the expenses for you, or they don't feel like you had any expenses to deduct, so they're filing they're filing your 1099 on your 1040 as just straight income. For whatever reason, they're doing that. So check that out. Another thing that the government's doing is giving people 100% off of your food. Go to irs.gov, look at their updates there. Go to sba.gov, get on their email list, so that way you can know what's going on, being in the right now. We're trying to kick and scream for a PPP 3, so that way that you can get around 3 of PPP. So get your stuff in order and start, you know, making sure so that you can actually qualify for some of this money. Oh, no problem, Lindsay. That's what I'm here for. Ask me questions, because I mean, a lot of this, it's a lot to digest. It's a lot to take in. And especially if you really haven't done all this stuff, it's a whole lot. But I'm going to get ready to get off here because I kind of been on here for a while. So I just want to tell you that if they offer you a loan through Eidl, take it. Even if you save the money to see if they're going to forgive it. And if they don't forgive all of it, even if they forgive a portion of it, that's still going to be free money. So, and like I said, reach out to your senators, your Congress people. The midterm election is coming up. So we got a lot of leverage there. And when people say elections don't mean anything, my vote don't mean anything, these people are actually listening to, you know, sole proprietors, small business owners, challenges right now during this pandemic. And that's how a lot of things and a lot of people are getting their way. It's because they're kicking and screaming to their congressmen. Some people are even showing up at their offices and stuff because there's a lot of people. I mean, yeah, there are people out here scamming, but a lot of people that are in desperate need of these funds to keep their doors open, especially if you've been in business for 20 years and now, especially a restaurant, now your capacity is only, 50%, 10% of what it used to be. That's a financial burden to a lot of business owners, and they really need this money. And their senators and their congressmen are really listening and hearing what people have to say, because guess what? They pay lobbyists, their associations pay lobbyists. These are the people who help them get elected. The small business is the heartbeat of America. Small businesses collectively employ more people than large businesses. Also, on the PPP, that if you have employees, you can file your 940, but you also can file for yourself based on your K-1. If you're an S corporation, you can file on your corporate tax return, or you can file your Schedule C. So if you got a payroll with the 940, you also can file for you personally, so you can qualify for multiple PPPs. Right now, we're looking, at EIDL, like I said, that $2 million cap, 24 months of capital. So that's probably roughly about 4 times the amount that you got originally. So, let's keep kicking and screaming and get this money, because it's to be gotten. You don't, it's a once in a chance of a lifetime thing. Do the right thing with the money. Don't, create struggle. Use it for your business. Use it for your payroll. If you are a sole proprietor, guess what? That's your paycheck. That's your money. So get this money while it's here, because like I said, about a week ago, they did say that the funds were running low for PPP, and we don't know that it would be replenished, especially now with them, I don't know what funds that they come from, but now that they're going to be doing up to $2 million per business for EIDL, I mean, you need to be getting on that money train, especially if you already got your 2 rounds. Oh yeah, thank you, Keisha, for always, being so supportive, sharing my videos and everything. But yeah, like I said, I want to just keep helping people, make it through this pandemic, come out, make it a bandemic, so that way you can stay afloat, stay in business, and prosper. And remember, in difficulty lies opportunity. So this is your opportunity. Take it. And don't make no mistakes with it. And you can sign up for my coaching if you need help with, getting your stuff together and get out of business and get into business.